through your freedom.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
Welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel, coming to you from an undisclosed location somewhere in the South. Welcome back, folks. Listen, we've got some serious stuff going on in our country. Now, back in the 1940s, we had the House Committee on Internal Security, right? We had this thing called the the House Committee on Un-American Activities. It was associated with Senator McCarthy. The era was known as one of McCarthyism, right? Where communists, people were accused of communists, they were blacklisted, right? It was a different time. It was a time when America wanted to be protected from our nation's enemies. When our elected officials were concerned about Americans being American rather than today, where we have a different type of McCarthy, or McCarthyism, if we want to even call it that. We now have government acting in an un-American fashion. Whereas in the 1940s era, with the House on Un-American Activities, House Committee on Un-American Activities, we had a different thing. We had the government concerned about whether or not its people, its citizens, were being American or un-American. Now it is the opposite. And I want to talk about a couple of ways that we're seeing this. And by the way, thank you for supporting the Prepared Mind channel, our network, what it is we do. Folks, this is what we do. We talk about our country and the need to be prepared. It's not about me. The show is not about me or really where I'm at or what I'm doing, right? It's about what is happening to all of us. It's not about our petty little gripes, bitches, and complaints. It's about the big picture. Right? President Biden yesterday tried explaining to the American people why Ukraine needs another $33 billion of your taxpaying contributions. Right? Now, I want to ask this question: why is it that it's American, that it's okay, that it's acceptable for our government to fund un-American regimes? Our country is doing that. Isn't it anti-American to fund our nation's enemies? Like the Taliban, $85 billion. $85 billion. $85 billion given to the regime that we went into the country initially in order to get rid of, because we were told that they were, right, a backwards culture, that they were un-American, that they didn't understand freedom and liberty. So we had to liberate the Afghanis from the Taliban. It turns out now our government wants to enslave people. Oh, take a look, right? Take a look at what happened in 2020. When our governments and the governments of all the worlds, all the nations decide they're going to enslave everybody. And they did. Locked them down. Made the people of individual countries the enemies of each other. Right? How about the Nazis? Should we back in the 1930s and 40s have funded the Nazis with American money? Of course not. We would never dream. We would never even shall we say, entertain the nightmare of funding Adolf Hitler. But you could say that the Union Trust Bank in New York City, that's exactly what they did. They funded Hitler. Not the government, though, but today we have our government and it is funding Nazis, and they are the Ukraine Nazis. Talk about un-American. Absolutely un-American, and that's what our government is funding. Right? I'm talking about our un-American government is funding un-American Nazis. It gave $85 billion in equipment and an entire nation back to our enemies. And now we have this, right? The Disinformation Governance Board under the Department of Homeland Security. they have this new administration, or rather this new bureaucracy that they just initiated, they just announced, right? And when asked about it, the White House press secretary, Jen Psaki, refused to comment on the far left lunatic who's chosen to oversee this disinformation governance board. What is disinformation, folks? It's speech, it's language. Now, way back in the 40s, people felt scared over the Committee on Un-American Activities, right? The McCarthyism era. People were afraid of that. Well, why would you be unless you were conducting un-American activities? Well, they created blacklists. You wouldn't want to be blacklisted. Now, who was afraid? Well, the same people who are afraid today of being outed. Hollywood, extreme leftists. But now they're in charge and they're using their blacklist. It's called being canceled. If you don't believe in their radical extreme leftist stuff, you're canceled. If you don't believe in their un-American agenda, you're canceled. If you try and argue with them, you're canceled. You're blacklisted. Only I'm not the enemy of this country. I'm a patriot just like you. Folks, it is 180 degrees out of phase. It's backwards. It's upside down. It's bizarre land. And we have an un-American government and SHTF all at the same time. You can't have an un-American government without it hitting the fan. McCarthyism, we have a McCarthy in Congress now. Only he is a rhino. He is the exact opposite of what he proclaims to be. He has nothing to do with conservatism or a foundational perspective on America, one that seeks freedom and liberty for its people first and foremost. And after that, government can function. Instead, we have a new McCarthyism, an anti-American government. And it's pushing censorship on us with a disinformation governance board that the administration won't even discuss the people that are running it and what it's going to do. They're stepping up their game in this SHTF information war, psychological war. Question I have is, are you going to bitch about people that you don't like because you're not getting what you want? Or are you going to look past ourselves and see where the real problem is? I mean, we can complain about local governance, and we can complain, and take action at the local level. This goes all the way to the top now. It goes all the way to the top. Think about it. How un-American is our government now? What policies and how un-American are they that they're pushing? And where are we at in this SHTF cycle? And how prepared are you? Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for your PayPal donations, your CashApp donations. Thank you for supporting us through Patreon. We're going to continue to do what we do. We've got a complete team, if you will, and it's comprised of all of us, right? All of us Americans. It is our fundamental duty, folks, to protect ourselves, our families, and our nation, right? That's what was spoken of in the Declaration of Independence. It is our right, it is our duty, right, to stand up to tyranny. Godspeed to everybody. Semper Fi. And we'll be back with another talk.